Hello, a very warm welcome to Granada Reports. We're live with the latest for you across the northwest.
Hello, on the programme this evening.
We clapped them through lockdown, but now NHS workers here say they're facing growing levels of abuse.
3 dads walking to 3 dads talking. The father's campaigning for schools to talk more about suicide.
That had been done for our daughters as they came through schools. There's a chance that when the really difficult time came in their lives, they might have actually picked up a phone or asked for help.
Don't leave us behind, a plea from the front pages as Northern leaders meet Michael Gove to talk levelling up.
We meet the 77-year-old from Preston who's powering his way to success and raising money for charity.
And a big night, a big game and a big crowd for Stockport County. I'll be live as they look to make a big step to returning to the Football League.
First, though, they're the people who kept working to care for the sickest and their families throughout the pandemic, and they put their own health at risk. But those are the people working for the NHS who now say that they're coming up against an increasing level of abuse.
Yeah, nearly half of NHS staff say they've suffered verbal or physical abuse in the last year, according to a study out today.
And as the government admits 300,000 people are now waiting at least a year for treatment, some people are already reaching breaking point. Our reporter Tim Scott has been to speak to frontline NHS staff.
They work long hours and save lives, but the shocking physical and verbal abuse faced by our NHS staff shows no sign of letting up. More than half of staff say abuse has increased since last year, with 43% saying they've personally been on the receiving end of abuse from patients. It's left nearly 70% agreeing it feels as though the public have forgotten them. The effects of abuse on our NHS staff can be devastating. It impacts their mental health and their ability to do their jobs properly. It leaves many of them burnt out and unable to cope.
It's getting to a point now where burnout is really affecting the individuals. Personal resilience is being affected.
Ambulance Service Manager Dave Seward is based in Preston. He has to support staff who faced abuse on the job. Have you seen any examples of people who have been burnt out who've said, I'm not going to come back as a result?
Them conversations have started with our staff during the pandemic around burnout and not being able to cope, and we've put measures in place to support them. But there's individuals that might burn out and just say, well, that's enough, I can't work for the NHS anymore.
Regarding all this abuse then, Dave, what message would you like to get across to the public?
It's about being respectful, be caring towards the NHS and support the individuals that are there to try and do the best for them.
In the last 1 year, I've had 2 doctors leave just because of burnout. Stress.
And it's not just ambulance staff who are facing abuse. Salford GP Van Selverassen has seen staff leave after being abused by patients.
I do train doctors as well, GPs, and I've had a lot of junior doctors, in tears and, going part-time. It's been a hard year, and it's not just for me. I speak for all the practices in the country. I'm sure it's the same.
Long waiting times is often the main reason for exasperated patients taking it out on NHS staff. And Dr Selverassen would love to see more resources to combat the issue.
More doctors, more nurses, that's what we need. If anybody could do that magic, do a magic wand and get us out, then that's great. But I think that's going to be a long-term process, I think.
While there is no magic wand to fix NHS staffing issues, we the public should perhaps be more accommodating and understanding when dealing with those who are supposed to make us well. If the levels of abuse directed at them continue, it seems we'll lose even more to burnout and stress. Tim Scott, ITV News.
Well, the call for us all to show more respect and support for NHS staff comes from the Chief Executive of NHS Charities Together.
Yeah, she is Ellie Orton, and she told us just how tough it is for them at the moment.
The majority of NHS staff saying that their well-being and their mental health has been significantly impacted over the last 2 years, and certainly over the last winter period that we've had, that has continued to take its toll, with staff working extremely long hours. Often other staff that would normally be working on shifts having to isolate or being poorly themselves. So people quite often having to do back-to-back shifts, or certainly be able to care for a lot more patients than they would normally do. And obviously have seen a lot more illness and unfortunately more people dying than they would normally have had to cope with over their careers.
Ellie, these figures are shocking and nobody wants to hear stories like this. But do you have sympathy for patients who are often caught up in very long waiting lists and they're struggling themselves?
I think we're all incredibly stressed, and I know the long waiting list is incredibly upsetting to NHS staff as well as patients. And so, it's been an awful 2 years for absolutely everybody, but I don't think there's ever an excuse for violence and physical abuse, especially not to NHS staff who have put their lives and their families on hold, often putting themselves at risk at times to care for patients and to care for our loved ones. And so it has been a very, very stressful 2 years for everybody. But it is not the time to start abusing and physically abusing and verbally abusing NHS staff.
So Ellie, what needs to be done now? What do our families, our friends need to do in order to make our NHS staff feel better about things?
Well, we've just launched our With All Our Hearts campaigns, so we're asking people to really show their love and support for the NHS by using the blue heart emoji in their social media, by their names, and going to our website nhscharitiestegether.co.uk and then / with all your hearts, and look at the packs that we've got in there to be able to draw blue hearts, to be able to get the crayons out, put them in your windows, put them in your cars, and really get behind supporting the NHS.
Ellie Alton, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's all support our NHS. Well, next this evening, to three dads who you'll know very well by now. Last year, Mike, Andy and Tim walked 300 miles in memory of the daughters they lost to suicide.
Yeah, not only have they raised awareness of the issue, they also raised almost £1 million for charity. But their most important aim is to get us all talking.
Yeah, they want suicide, which is the biggest killer of young people in this country, to be discussed more in schools, and are calling on the government to put it on the national curriculum.
Yeah, they told us just how important it is to get these conversations going, especially with young people.
Swapping walking for talking today. The three dads who last year got the nation discussing young suicide took that conversation to government this morning with a plea to get suicide prevention on the school curriculum. Back in October, the three men who all lost their daughters to suicide walked 300 miles to raise awareness of what is Britain's biggest killer of young people. One of them, Mike Palmer from Sale, lost his daughter Beth at the beginning of the first lockdown. She was 17. He believes if suicide prevention had been discussed at school, she may still be alive.
I do believe if we equip our young people from an early age to be aware of mental health issues and ultimately suicide, think an awareness of how to reach out for young people. I mean, we're talking about basically a support mechanism that they can carry through their lives.
If suicide is the biggest killer of our young people, then why aren't we equipping firstly teachers, but then also the children to deal with that, so that when they have moments when they are depressed, we need to teach them they will come out the other side of it. And at the moment, suicide in schools is a hidden word.
If that had been done for our daughters as they came through schools, there's a chance that when the really difficult time came in their lives, rather than take that final decision to take a step that couldn't be reversed, they might have actually picked up a phone or asked for help.
Three Dads Walking raised almost £1 million for Papyrus, the suicide prevention charity based in Warrington. They were there too to meet Health Minister Gillian Keegan today, adamant that schools should be discussing suicide prevention.
Children not surprisingly, who are very prone to anxiety and all kinds of difficulties, particularly in this climate, really do feel that they need to be able to know what to do, not only when they themselves are suffering, but how to help their peers.
Gillian Keegan, she took in everything we said. She said she absolutely got what the direction we were coming from, and we are very positive about the outcome, and hopefully we'll arrange another meeting in the near future.
There is a long road ahead before any changes are made, but these three dads are hoping to pave the way for a different approach in schools to what's always been a taboo subject. Mel Barham, ITV News.
And in a statement, the Minister for Mental Health said the government is committed to children's mental health and suicide prevention and is investing record amounts of money in reforming mental health services.
You can find links to support and advice on this issue on our website, itv.com/Granada.
Police in Greater Manchester searched more than 100 people at the weekend as part of an operation against knife crime. New powers to stop and search were authorised after 3 young people died in separate stabbings over the last 3 weekends. 103 people were stopped on Saturday and Sunday, resulting in 6 arrests for offences including theft and possession of cannabis.
3 teenagers have been arrested on suspicion of murder following the fatal stabbing of a boy in Salford. 17-year-old Alan Shelegovsky was found dead in Clews Park at the end of last month. 2 16-year-old boys and a 15-year-old were taken into custody this morning.
Barrow Council has revealed almost 200 people have applied to become the new King or Queen of Peel Island. The title's granted to the licensee of the island's pub, the Ship Inn. As well as running the pub, they'll also be required to manage and maintain the 50-acre island, where seals outnumber humans by 80 to 1. Sounds fantastic. Is it still too late to apply? Could we give it a go?
I would absolutely love to have a go. As long as everybody called me Your Majesty, but there wouldn't be that many people though. Would you fancy it?
OK, Your Majesty. No, I'll give you a run for that. OK, next up, don't leave us behind. That was the plea today from newspapers across the north as leaders across the region joined to discuss levelling up.
Yeah, last week the government's long-awaited levelling up plans were described by some as repackaged, rehashed and recycled. Well, today a direct challenge to the levelling up Secretary Michael Gove: rethink the rail plans.
Yeah, we can cross live to Elaine Wilcox in Liverpool now. Elaine, last week's announcement did fall a bit flat here. Was there any progress today?
Well, Lucy, Michael Gove was dubbed Minister for closing down on Merseyside because of cuts. Today, he was in Liverpool promising to level up. And there was an admission that these areas had been let down in terms of funding in the past, which was welcome to the audience. And he was also a big fan of devolution.
It's only through devolution, it's only through the empowerment of local actors, the mayors in mayoral combined authorities, the local leaders with whom they work, local business people and entrepreneurs who have a feel for their market and a sense of what's required. It's only through their empowerment that you can make that change.
Well, Steve Rotherham is with us. You've invited Michael Gove to spend a day with you in the Liverpool City region. He said he'd probably have to come in disguise. If he came with government investment, that would make him popular, wouldn't it?
Well, certainly it'd be better than the warm words and the soft soap that we've had so far. We've put really good business cases to the government, and so far we're really to see the fruits of levelling up. So if he's serious, yeah, we'll come and we'll have a conversation.
I was in Knowsley when the white paper was announced, and they said there they have had no investment, even though they're a priority. Did you get a sense the government was aware of that and is going to do something about it?
Well, you're right. Knowsley, a priority for the government, got £0, 0 pence. And what I was trying to explain to the Secretary of State today was that if the government are really serious about levelling up, then what you can't do is the more affluent areas get even more money and the areas that have been left behind get less. That can't possibly level things up.
There was talk as well about transport. You've asked him again to look at Northern Powerhouse Rail. He raised his eyes when people challenged him about the lack of good trains. Do you get a sense that will change?
Well, both Michael Gove and the Secretary of State for Transport, Grant Shapps, have had conversations, shall we say, and I've fallen out publicly with Grant Shapps, but they've now said that they will re-evaluate and reassess the evidence that we've provided, and hopefully now the door is slightly more ajar than it previously was.
You're talking about being hopeful. Michael Gove has said red and blue need to work together, which is a novel concept in this city. Back to you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Next, what's thought to be the world's most expensive drug has been approved by NHS England thanks to a pioneering trial involving a schoolboy from Cumbria.
Joe Elson, who is 11, has a rare condition called MLD, which damages the nervous system and his organs. He travelled to Italy for revolutionary gene therapy, and the good news is that that treatment worked.
Sadly, his sister Connie, who also has a condition, won't be able to access the life-saving treatment. Victoria Grimes has this report.
11-year-old Joe Elson's been through more than most children his age. Diagnosed with a rare genetic condition, MLD, when he was just 3, it's a disorder that damages the nervous system and organs. But after being treated with an experimental gene therapy, his life's been transformed.
He's just a typical 11-year-old little boy. He does things that his peers do. He's doing the same schoolwork. He is involved in the same activities. He's just one of the lads, really. And everything he does is, we don't take anything for granted. You know, you'll see him tying his shoelaces and the small things, and probably don't mean a lot to other people, but they're huge things to us.
The treatment's just been approved for use by the NHS in England, but at nearly £3 million, it's one of the most expensive in the world. For Joe's parents, it's worth every penny.
We've seen the difference it makes. It's absolutely night and day for these children. They become very poorly very quickly. Joe's just living a normal, typical life of an 11-year-old, so we're really grateful.
Sadly, the treatment's come too late for Joe's sister Connie, who also has MLD. It is for her a life-limiting condition, and every day there's another painful reminder for her parents.
She's no longer able to eat. She's no longer able to smile or even laugh. Every time she loses the ability to do something, the grieving process just starts over and over and over again.
For Connie, the outcome could have been very different. Doctors at Royal Manchester Children's Hospital, where the treatment's offered, say early intervention can make a huge difference.
What the clinical trials showed was that if you try and do this when children are already developing symptoms, you're really too late and those children carry on developing more symptoms. Whereas if you give this treatment really early on in a child's life before they develop any signs of a disease, then they can remain, in some cases, completely well.
MLD is a rare disorder. Only around 4 children are diagnosed in England every year. This new treatment provides hope for their futures and some comfort to Joe and Connie's family. Victoria Grimes, ITV News.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, moving on to sport now. Frank Lampard makes his Premier League debut as Everton manager. A crucial game as well, Chris.
Yeah, 6-pointer, some would call it. Everton head to Newcastle tonight with both clubs desperate for a win to climb away from the relegation fight. This is Frank Lampard's #1 priority, and he'll be helped tonight by having his new signings available. Lampard says being kept out of the first team at their previous clubs will mean Dele Alli and Donny van de Beek are fired up for their Everton debuts.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. They can be burst into play on both fronts. They've both got their different stories. Donny, I think from the outside, I don't know the details of Manchester United other than they've got a very big squad, and Donny's now with us, and he's a very talented boy. I see that in training, and they've shown both in training the reasons why I brought them here. So I look forward to seeing that on the pitch.
Manchester United head to Burnley tonight with Ralph Rangnick playing down talk of a rift with Jesse Lingard. Last week, Lingard's bid to leave was blocked with the club short on numbers after Mason Greenwood's arrest. Lingard, who was left out of Friday's FA Cup defeat, then contradicted his manager's comments that he'd asked for a few days off to clear his head. But he's back in the squad tonight.
I have a very good relationship with him. He knows that I would have been willing to let him go, at least until the issue with Mason came up. We have to look forward now. There are no problems whatsoever between myself and Jesse.
Pep Guardiola says his players will be fined for going on a night out, but only because they didn't invite him. Jack Grealish, Kyle Walker and Riyad Mahrez were spotted seemingly on a night out in Manchester on Sunday. Pep, though, wasn't too concerned today.
I'm so upset because they didn't invite me. And I don't like it. Next time, hopefully, they can invite me and do the dinner correctly at 8 o'clock that they have done. All of them, Riyad, Kyle, Ali, Jack, they were perfect. But they will be fine because they didn't invite me.
Always invite the boss. Next to a huge night for Stockport County in their quest to return to the Football League for the first time in more than a decade. A club record run of 10 wins has seen them shoot to the top of the National League table. Tonight they face Chesterfield, who are 1 place and 1 point behind them. Edgeley Park will be packed for the game. Let's head there now to join David Chisnell. David, it's all quiet now, but it won't be later.
Yeah, Chris, that's absolutely right. This place is going to be absolutely rocking this evening as more than 10,000 fans pack in here for Stockport County. That is actually their biggest ever crowd for a National League game. As you know, some of our League 1 and 2 sides would also like a following of that size as well. I'm delighted to say that joining me now are 2 men who've got in nice and early for this top-of-the-table clash with Chesterfield. Steve Bellis is the club president and Pete Towie, lifelong fan as well. Steve, we'll come to you first of all. It's 11 years now since you were relegated from the Football League. What would it mean to Stockport County to get back there?
It'd mean everything. Everything to the supporters, clearly, but a lot to the people who live around here, the local economy, and of course a lot for our owner, who has come here, completely transformed the place. And we've had some dark days, but there's a genuine feeling now that this club is on its way back where it belongs, back to the Football League.
You're on a great run at the moment, a club record 10 wins in a row. Dave Challoner has worked wonders since he's come in. You've also beaten Bolton here in the FA Cup. Is there belief? This is the year you're going to do it.
I am the wrong person to ask, because for me, every year is the year we're going to do it. But there is real belief. And it isn't just about the wins, it's the way we're playing, it's the atmosphere around the club. The manager has been terrific. I always say I used to get really fed up of watching Dave Challoner in the opposition dugout when he was at Fylde and Hartlepool with that smug grin on his face as they used to beat us, and it's so nice now to see him in our dugout with that same smug grin as we go on this incredible run of wins.
I'm sure Peter is a lifelong fan. You're also enjoying seeing that smug grin as well from Dave. I mean, you were saying before, you remember when Liverpool came here in the 60s, not so long ago. Stockport County, they were in the semi-final of the League Cup. Yep. You were beating Manchester City in the Championship.
On a regular basis.
Just tell us, what has it been like being a Stockport County fan?
It's had its ups and downs, and for you know, quite a long time now, for the last 10, 11 years, it's been a big down, but we've turned the corner now. We're coming back, and you can feel it. You know, the fans feel it, everybody's feeling it. We're going back to where we belong, into the Football League. I think everybody's really confident.
It would be some fairy tale if you could get back up there. And also a fairy tale for one of your players, Connor Jennings, who's back playing after recovering, having surgery for a rare form of bone cancer. I mean, just how special a player is he?
I think it's great the way that when he was going through all that, the supporters rallied behind him to give him a lot of support, and he's back now, and he's repaying that by the effort he's putting in. I think there's a great rapport between the fans and Connor, and you know, he's a hero for it.
A quick score prediction from you guys tonight?
I think 3-1.
I'm going 2-0.
2-0, there we go. Predictions there. A big night, a big game. Could there be a big win for Stockport County?
Fingers crossed. Thanks, David. Well, now, from an exciting occasion at Edgeley Park to an emotional one at Prenton Park, where Tranmere will be remembering one of their youngest fans. 5-year-old Nate Gidman has passed away. He'd won the hearts of Rovers fans for bravely living with a brain tumour. The club say at tonight's match they'll hold a collection for the Children's Brain Tumour Research Fund in honour of a boy they call their little superhero. Such a sad story, and I'm sure Tranmere fans will get behind that collection for Nate tonight.
Yeah, he won all of our hearts, Chris. Thanks so much for that. Sad news to end on. Well, we're not quite done with sport, because we're off to meet a power lifter now from Preston.
Yeah, Peter Milam is lifting weights for the first time at the age of 77. Not only that, he has just won his very first competition.
So, what's prompted this sudden urge to pump iron? Paul Crone joined him in the gym to find out.
At work, he's a Deputy Lieutenant of Lancashire, and very smart too. But at play, Peter Milam is raising the bar for what's possible when you're no longer in the first flush of youth. Yes, at 77, the chairman of the Rosemere Cancer Foundation in Preston has taken up powerlifting and is giving those barbells short shrift. So much so, he's just won the first competition he entered, beating those who were decades younger.
I was absolutely amazed. And the age difference between me and the next oldest was something like 40 years.
Under the watchful eye of strength coach Tom Hume, who lost a friend to cancer, hence the Rosemere Foundation connection, Peter is powerlifting like a pro, lifting 3 times the weight of a fully packed and heavy holiday suitcase.
So for 77, he's done exceptionally well. And compared to the general population, he's done incredibly well too. Yeah, I'm ecstatic with Peter's performance, especially in such a short time frame, actually. Yeah, incredible.
Being retired, there's a greater purpose in life all of a sudden again. And, you know, I've had a busy life and retirement didn't sit too well with me. And, you know, I dare I say, I enjoyed it.
Peter hopes to raise awareness for the Cancer Foundation in Preston with his efforts in the local gym, but still hasn't quite got used to wearing a T-shirt and tracky bots.
Someone actually sent an email in to the Rosemere Foundation to say, congratulations, Peter, on what you've done. Did he do it in his suit and tie? And I was born in a suit and tie.
I've seen firsthand from Peter, from other athletes, and from the community how big a difference to someone's mental, emotional, physical health these sports can make.
Always willing to help out, I did my bit too. Well, the others were way too heavy, they were. So we leave Peter to carry on with his powerlifting. And if you're sat at home on the couch with your feet up, you know you're never too old to try something new and healthy. Paul Crone, ITV News, Preston.
Well, as somebody who's lifted a few weights over the years, Pete's technique is excellent.
Yeah, good technique, Pete. Well done to you.
Especially the deadlift. Joe's got the weather.
That sunshine really made your eyeshadow pop, you know? And you put the wipe in the bin, not the toilet.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Go ahead, Queen.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Another rather dull day across the northwest and breezy again. More windy weather to come over the next few days, but hopefully a little bit of sunshine as well. Turning colder, settling down for a couple of days before another wet and windy weekend awaits us. We'll lose the milder air as we head through, certainly into Thursday and Friday. High pressure will establish itself, and that gives us a fine end to the working week. But hot on the heels of that, we've got a front moving in from the Atlantic, bringing a spell of rain and windy conditions for Saturday and probably again for Sunday as well. Back to this evening, there'll be rain around for a time, 1 or 2 heavy bursts across the whole of the region. It's breezy, we're free from frost tonight, lots of low cloud, and as well as that, by the end of the night, something perhaps a little drier for Cumbria and Lancashire, that rain turning more showery towards dawn. On to tomorrow, and first of all, the sun will be rising at 7:43. It sets tomorrow evening at 5:08. For tomorrow then, a cloudy start to the day. We'll see that band of rain beginning to sink southwards and eastwards across the region. Behind it, brighter skies developing. A smattering of showers here and there through the course of the day, but lots of dry weather too. Northwest England, the Isle of Man having a breezy day, quite gusty along the coast, and feeling chilly tomorrow at around 7 or 8 Celsius at best. A chilly night tomorrow night, but largely dry. And then as we go through into the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday, 1 or 2 showers around start the day Thursday, settling down later on, a cold night, and then Friday will be fine, but as I mentioned before, the weekend looks very unsettled yet again. Bye-bye for now.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Those eyebrows are unreal.
Right, Joe, just before we go, inspired by powerlifting Pete from Preston, a few of you have been in touch. Tony Eaton, for example, says, I got back into skateboarding last year after 20 years. I've got my 2 boys into it too. It's great to get outdoors and socialise.
Yeah, this one from Dr. Kath Hill. Swimming in Morecambe Bay. Beautiful views, great for mental well-being and meeting great people.
Yeah, pretty cold, I would think. Andy Cleaver, though, says 6 months ago, I became a volunteer conductor on Blackpool Heritage trams. I absolutely love it, he says. says, it's great giving something back to the town I have lived in all my life. Well done to you.
Very impressive. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye
Thanks
for
for
now.
watching. Bye-bye.